I wanted to bring up. I don't know who sent this into our Facebook group here, but or into
I think the man who
chat.
just froze again.
So in the group chat, one of us, it was either one of you two, I don't remember who. Elliot Friedman. I'm just going to read it. Elliot Friedman says the New Jersey Devils have made it known that if a team can offer a good young player 26 or under with some term or term control, they'd be willing to trade one of the 18 or 20 pick. Yeah, there was Tom Fitzgerald flat out said the other day. I was going to text this in the group chat, but I was like, it'd take way too long to explain. Tom Fitzgerald just recently said the same exact thing, or I guess this is where Friedman's getting this from. He said that we have an age bracket that we want to keep this team kind of in. And he said, we're not going to – I don't know what's so funny. He's like, I don't know.
Listening to your brain work. Like, man, I can't believe this reporter and Fitzgerald said the exact same thing. I can't – wait a minute. Maybe the reporter got it from Fitzgerald, and then he put it out in a tweet, kind of like a report. I get it now. I just like watching your brain work. That's all.
So yeah.
So what do you think about that?
I don't know. I guess it's smart to, what Fitzgerald is putting out there is just kind of trying to keep this. I don't even know. I don't know. What do you think?
It's a good move if we can do it, and as long as it's the right trade, it seems like they're not just going to trade it for anything. But we're also going to wind up having to part with someone too. I got to imagine that they're not just going to give it, an 18 for a decently established younger player. So we're going to have to create a package. So we have to be ready to say goodbye to someone if this potential trade happens. And I'm really curious when the trades are going to start happening. If they have to wait till draft day, if they have to, if it's going to open up as soon as the finals are over. So I feel like there's going to be a flurry of trades at some point, whether it's draft day or right before. And it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Draft day is right around the corner, not this Tuesday, but wait, we just said this before the show. Is it the following Tuesday or Wednesday?
It's the 6th.
The 6th?
So I have it up here. 5th? I still have it up.
Okay.
I still have it up here. Sorry. It's Tuesday, October 6th. At 7 is round 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then rounds 2 through 7 will be the next day on Wednesday. So we will know what our draft pick is by, unless the NHL does this big long schlocky thing where they draw everything out for the first round. We should have a pretty good idea who we pick by time 7:30 rolls around, at least for our first overall. And then I'm curious if it'll be following what's going on, if there's going to be any movement, within the next half hour or whatever. So that'll be the fun stuff. Is sitting there watching what's going on. What movements are being made, what trades are going on, what trade rumor, that'll all be fun. And I'm sure all those rumors will ramp up, as we get closer to that too. But yeah, so that'll be interesting to see what happens.
And what did it say exactly again? What was the age that the Devils were looking to, not acquire, but were essentially shopping? What was the age limit? They said,
in the 26 or under.
26 or under. Okay. Yeah. So that makes a difference because that also puts, like we've been hearing rumors of, Damon Severson. So Severson is 26,
I think that was 26 or under coming in. So, but if you're going to trade you're going to have to trade a known piece, a known commodity if you're going to get someone with that 18 or 20 or whatever it is, 21.
Right. Well, he is under control as well for the next couple of years. I don't know. I'm just trying to like put together more of the pieces. I mean, like obviously, I don't think they're shopping Nico or Jack or anything like that, but we do have a lot of other. Yeah, I mean, Damon Severson, I think, would be an attractive piece to other teams. If you put him on a second pairing D, I think he would thrive. Up with us when he's playing those big minutes sometimes, I think he would do better on a second pairing D. So I don't know. I mean, he can play top line. We have seen it, but we've also, as Devil fans, have seen the gaps that seem to happen. Granted, they were looking better last season, but still. But it also puts Pavel Zacha in that mix as well. Because we did sign what was it, a 3-year deal, I believe we signed him, that Ray signed him to, when he got all pissy with his agent talking about like that he was gonna go we're going overseas. I think it was a 3-year deal they signed him to. Pavel Zacha. Yes.
Yep.
Oh no, wait. Till 21 21 22. Yep. Okay, and I mean he's only 20, he's only 23 years old as well. So, and also does Dakota Mermis, who was also.
There's too many people that want to give up on Zacha and give up on Severson, and I disagree with both of those.
I don't think we should give up on Zacha yet. I wouldn't be opposed if someone threw us like a crazy deal. For Severson, I mean, our defense is going to be, we got a lot of young prospects coming up. Yeah, we're going to be really young. Our defense is not going to be good next year. Like it's going to be, and that's an important thing too. I think we have to talk about at some point. Lowered expectations. We had such high expectations for Jack Hughes and everything. Maybe we should not be putting those same expectations on Ty Smith and Kevin Ball and Riley Walsh because they're young. They're really young, and they got to learn how to play NHL.
Yeah, but they also were not drafted first overall as a
highly touted as being the American Connor McDavid, as some people were saying.
I mean, it's true. That's true. That's
different. True. But I think though that it's them all being young and needing to grow meaning that they'll grow together, which would mean that hopefully we'll have a good solid core for a lot of years to come, which I like the fact that they're not going to go after someone with, if they're going to trade this draft pick, that they're not going to go after an older player. They're going to go after someone that's going to fit within this younger team, which is fantastic. It's not like they're just going to throw it away, which is good too, but it also looks like that they're only going to take the right offer. They're not just going to physically, they're not just going to go, here you go, fire sale, you can take it all. They're only going to take the right offer, which is good. It'll be. We've got to move some pieces. We got to bring some in.
Omar just said in the Facebook group. He said if they draft Rossi, that means Zacha is gone, and that's not a bad point. Especially, Rossi kind of took a shot at Nico Hischier the other day. He said, "Oh, I played with him when we were like 12, 13 years old. I got his number." Like, basically saying like, "Oh, he could, whatever." So, there's a few kids that are in this draft class. That are in that top 7 area that we're picking in that are going to be awesome. But there's something that I wanted to bring up, and it's funny. I was just thinking about this. Jersey, our friend Jersey Joe just put it. He smells Askarov, the goaltender out of Russia, is going to be the Devils pick at number 7, and that is a fire point with this fan base, my friends. I don't know if you've been watching this on social media kind of play itself out, but good Lord. It's either, go for it, or I will burn every Devils jersey I have if they do it. There is no in between. There is no in between.
Stay away from social media.
Dude, it is unbearable. And I mean, just talking about the core of this team and keeping this team young. if they decide to go after Rossi, that's awesome. Like that's a great point. Yeah, then it makes somebody like Zaka available. But if they draft this goaltender, I don't know. I know Shorts Guy said in the past, like if there's something better out there than what we have, you go for it. You don't think about it, you go for it. Do you think this kid? I don't know if you watched any tape on him, but you're kind of our aficionado when it comes to goaltending. So I don't know what your thought is on this, but do you think it's a stretch at 7, or do you think it's a reasonable possibility?
I actually have not seen any tape on this kid, so I can't comment on if he's worth the 7 if we're going to possibly get it. But I still stand by what I said, weeks ago. You need to take the best available player, no matter what the position is, at your for when your pick is up. And if he's there, if he's available, great, because Blackwood. See, Devils fans all want Blackwood to succeed, and we talked about. I think it may have been last week. Talked about this or the week before. We all want Blackwood to succeed, and we're all hoping for the next, Brodeur, essentially, which we'll never have. We all thought Kincaid was going to be the guy. We all thought Clemenson was going to be the guy. We all thought, Snyder was going to be we haven't found that one goalie that is carrying our team yet, and we will eventually, because we have to, because you can't go without it. And if this kid's it, then this kid's it. That's great. You have to take the best available player, no matter what the position.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I don't see him being it.
Or if you have a team that has a pretty decent pick and they are desperate, and they are absolutely desperate to get that player, and they want to swap picks, you know what? That could also be a potential as well. You could have a potential, if someone really wants that player and you want someone else. You could also swap picks if it's not too far off, like a 7 for an 8 or something like that. And if I don't know, that possibility is out there as well.
I think, I mean, oh man, I don't know if the way a lot of the mock drafts, shake out has us, getting one of those Swedish wingers, Raymond or Holtz, and man, would they look good, on one of our lines, So I don't know. I think Askarov is he a top 10? I don't know. I think he's right on the border. Also, there's Anton Lundell, who kind of profiles a little bit more as a defensive center. So I don't know. I think if there are trades made, it's definitely going to affect who we draft right there. But I don't know if Raymond or Holtz is available, one of those two. I mean, I would definitely take that. I don't know. That's just me.
I want whatever's going to make an improvement in this team. I want whatever's going to make the best improvement for this team. And that, whatever that may be, that's, I really, also I'm curious how much of the team that has done the drafting since we drafted Nico is still around. How much of that scouting staff is still here? If any of them left with, because of Shiro leaving, I don't know. It's those scouting positions are not really the sexy news articles or clickbait that you want to hear, but they really got it right with Nico. I still think that they got it right with Jack Hughes, and I don't know. It just seems to be if that team is still there, then that's great.
Yeah, I just got a message from our friend Jersey Joe. He sent me a Facebook message. He said it's basically a screenshot of a text message that he got from Recruit Scouting. So he basically said, "You think that the Devils taking Askarov at 7 overall?" And the person he's talking to says, "I think it's not a bad idea. Multiple first-round picks, and I think Askarov is the real deal." I've been seeing a lot about this kid being an legit. I've seen some highlights on him. His post to post is incredible. His ability to recover is insane. He's 18. He's got flashes of a lot of potential. Just put it that way. But goaltenders scare the hell out of me because they can look like absolute rock stars like Rick DiPietro did going into the NHL draft, and then you get into the NHL and it's a whole new ball game. And God forbid you tweak something and then boom, you tweak a quad or a knee or something like that, and
I know.
It's just crazy. It's crazy to think about that kind of stuff. But if he's the real deal, I mean, damn.
Let's put it. Yeah, but you know what though? Russia's been pumping out some really, really top end goalie talent.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at the. I know Khudobin's not a recent Russian. Coming into the league. However, it's Khudobin and Vasilevsky facing off against each other, and there's a lot of young goaltenders from Russia in the league currently that are really good and are pushing for starting spots if they don't have them ready. I mean, you've got Varlamov. He's a little bit older. He's from Russia. He brought the Islanders almost to the brink of the finals.
Is Shesterkin from Russia as well?
I want to say yes, but I'll double check that.
Because I agree. There's a lot of really top end talent coming out from that area, but I mean, that's the thing is like having a draft pick in this type of draft, where you're in that top 6, because Zaka was a number 6 overall pick, and there's people that freak out because they're like, Matt Barzal was right behind him. And this guy was right behind him, and that guy was right. You can second guess your city. And no matter what you do, it's the wrong choice, right? Unless they end up being Alexander Ovechkin or Martin Brodeur or someone, that stature. But, I mean, you're going to second guess yourself no matter what you do. So I guess, whatever the Devils do, you just hope that the scouting team that they have in place is like you said, choosing the best player available on the board.
Yeah, and you know what? It's kind of like so. The 2003 draft was one of the top drafts of all time, and we talk about that we could have got Barzal instead of Zaka. I love giving it to Billy Dean and the Hockey on Tap podcast because the Rangers selected Hugh Jessman that year, who went absolutely nowhere, and there were so many other players that the Rangers in that position could have drafted even after they picked Jessman, players that went after him. And it's always kind of like a sore spot with him. It's like, he'll bring that draft year up all the time, and he'll go through it, and then he'll get to the Rangers and we pick Jessman. Anyway, it's like you're going to always have those instances. I mean, hockey is that one sport where, I mean, how many players have we seen in the last 30 years that came either undrafted or drafted super late to be superstars? Sometimes hockey talent just takes a year or two. Defenseman, we know, takes a couple years. I think overall, however, any player drafted in this year's draft, I think it would be a stretch to expect an instant impact because they haven't played since March. These players have been doing nothing but working out. I think to have, if there's going to be any year, it's this year especially, to not expect an instant impact from any first overall picks or from any first round picks.
And that is indeed a super valid point. There's going to be guys that are going to drop in this draft merely because they haven't played in a year. There's going to be guys that they're stocked properly. They haven't been scouted properly, and that's where you just hope and pray that the scout team has got their stuff together and they go out there and they do their due diligence. And I'm sure that's all other 31 team or all 30 teams in the NHL are going to be doing the same exact thing. And I don't think the Devils are going to be like, haha, we got one over on everybody because we know this guy's really a first round pick, but he fell to the 6th round. Stuff like that's not going to happen. But
we can dream.
What's that?
Yeah, no. What's up? We can. But we also have to, it's like, and these players, we don't know what they've done in the last 6 months. Like you hope that they're all still working out, and I got to assume they are because this is their chance to get drafted. It's their chance to realize their dreams. You hope that they're doing what what we all want them to do is to keep working out, to keep progressing. But, if you're not on ice against, competition, and there haven't been any training camps, there hasn't been anything like that. We've seen pictures of Jack Hughes. It looks like he's worked out quite a bit. And I really kind of hope that him seeing his brother have all the success he did in the playoffs, that really kind of lights a fire under him. But all these prospects, they've been off, and you just kind of hope that they've really done all the right things in the last 6 months to get them to where they're going to be good players, not kind of regress. It really wouldn't shock me to see a lot of these players that get drafted this year to either go back to junior teams or to be sent right down to the NHL, just to kind of get back into the swing of things. Or on the other hand, too, you can also say that most of the league's been off since March too. So what better time to be, thrown into the fire with everyone else, since everyone else is kind of, with the exception of the playoff team, the rest of the league has been sitting there idle. So it's a two-way street, I guess I'd say.
Yeah, I was waiting for Scott to respond, but he's being very. He's sitting there either deep in thought or thinking about something.
I was just listening and thinking, actually. That's all I was doing. Thinking is usually not good, though, on the radio. That's usually bad radio.
we at least have video so people get to stare at us while we think. We blindly look.
I'm excited to. At least we have something to, something new and something fresh about to happen, but I'm excited, but I don't know about the, it's just, it's risky. Like you said, the Russian goalies have had like a good track record recently. But man, I don't know if one of those wingers is out there.
That's that damned if you do, damned if you don't, because if you pass up on that kid and somebody takes him and he becomes an absolute stud goaltender, and like 5 years from now he's carrying a team to a Stanley Cup on his back straight up through the playoffs, you're going to sit there and you're going to go, we had him at number 7. And then if you draft him and at number 7 and he comes into the league and he just can't stay healthy or something stupid, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. No matter which way you could look at this 100 different ways, and it's like, who knows? I'm not smart enough apparently to think about these types of things. My brain is very small, so like I don't know what's going to happen, but I do know this: whatever they do, half the fan base is going to bitch and complain and say it's wrong. So
I know, and we have. We do have two draft picks later on. We could maybe package them and trade down too. We could trade down.
That's another thing. You package them, trade down, and then snag a goalie after you grab, a winger or something, or a center or something like that at 7. That's another option as well. If Fitzy is shopping some guys around, like we've talked about, and I think he's shown he's not just going to make a deal to make a deal. He's going to make a good deal. I think the Coleman deal, look at it, is just from top to bottom, really, really solid. So I don't think we have to move anybody, but we do have all these trade chips, and all these pieces. So why not, just kind of look around and see what's out there. But there are different. It doesn't mean, by Fitzy saying, hey, we want to move one of these picks, that could mean in a package deal like that to move them both and down. There's so much that can actually, go on with this. I don't know. It's exciting that it's finally here.
You nailed it on the head. It's exciting because it's something different. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's exciting because you're like, oh, finally, like we can. No, we do our best to try to keep it as fresh as possible, and we keep our points of view like relevant to what's going on to the team. But it's been there's been nights where you're like, oh, well, let's see this stretch out as far as it goes. But honestly,
wait, you mean like tonight?
Oh yeah, of course. But whatever, dude. It's gonna be super interesting to see what happens. If they use all 3 of those draft picks, it's going to be super. It's just going to be fun. It's going to be cool because you know something's going to happen. You don't have 3 draft picks and not have something exciting come out of it, because even if they pick all 3 guys, I mean, that's something cool to talk about, because now you have 3 first-round picks that are like, whoa, let's check this out. Like, this is something brand new. And I want to throw this into the pot before I shoot it over to you. There's speculation that Kyle Palmieri could possibly be traded. And if he's traded, if there's a way that they get a 4th first-round pick out of this draft, there's things that could happen that could open up the floodgates to Fitzgerald really taking this team into a really crazy place.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really exciting to see how this plays, because you're right. I mean, like, we've been starting to see all these rumors pop up here and there. Palmieri, Severson, our draft picks. Now you're starting to see like this movement starting to happen. So the freshness of it definitely is a rejuvenation. But it's good to see. It's good also to know that, like, Fitzy's putting the feelers out there. He's not just like sitting put. He's doing his job. He's doing his due diligence here to like see what we can do to make our team better. And like you said, man, I didn't even really like think about that. Imagine if they got a 4th first round. Oh my God,
that would be crazy. Yeah, I didn't even that notion didn't even creep into my mind until just now. Like, the possibility that we could trade for that would be wild. To have four first round picks, and then you can really open. Okay, so you traded for that one, which you can then maybe potentially flip for something else, or you can flip 2 for a lower pick and still have, 3 picks within the first 8 or whatever. It's like,
wow.
There's a lot of possibility, and I think we're going to see a lot of movement, and I think we're going to see a lot of things happen. It's not going to be us just kind of talking about nothing. It'll be nice. It'll be good.
So what is that? 2 weeks from now? Not this coming Sunday. Not a week from now, but 2 weeks. 3 weeks now. 2 weeks, right?
No,
not this Tuesday. A week from this Tuesday.
A week from this Tuesday. So it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's not going to be the next show that we have that will have everything, but we'll be gearing up for it. It will be a lot closer. And let's be realistic too. There might be a lot of GMs that are holding back on pulling the trigger on some trades right now because of the Stanley Cup Finals. Because there's always been that like polite etiquette kind of thing about like, hey, the Stanley Cup Finals going on, like let's not really do anything or make anything kind of announced. There might be conversations that are happening behind closed doors. The fact that Patrick Hornquist got traded from Pittsburgh, I don't think Pittsburgh's done. No. They're not afraid to trade within a division. There's a lot of teams that have a lot of issues going forward. Like there's a lot of teams that have cap issues going forward. And let's be realistic. I know you don't like to talk about it because the whole Line thing. If he signs a long-term contract and then gets traded, that's one thing. But if it's like you trade a bunch of assets for this guy only to see him walk in free agency the next year, it's a waste, which I 100% agree, especially because we're not that team that's a Line away from winning a Stanley Cup. But if you're able to get this guy for, like, let's say I saw somebody throw out there Severson, Zacha, and the Vancouver pick, which is the 20 pick. So you package those 3 things for Patrick Laine. But yeah, I know it's a ridiculous offer, but at the same time, it's not that far-fetched. I mean, that's not that crazy of a deal, especially considering that if Laine has openly said to the Jets, I don't want to be here, you're not going to re-sign me. You just got a first-round pick, you got a proven two-way center, and you got a reliable defenseman, no matter what Devils fans say about those 2 players. So if you got those 3 for Laine, I think that's not a bad deal, especially on a dude that could possibly walk. But the only reason, like you said before, Scotty, that you make that deal is if you know for a stone-cold fact that dude is going to sign with you long-term. Otherwise, it is a complete waste of asset.
Yeah, it is. No, it absolutely is. It's a complete waste if he's not going to stay. Whatever they're going to bring in, we want them to succeed, and we want them to be young and fit in. And it sounds like Fitzgerald, that's what he's doing. I know we mentioned a bunch of times, but he's looking for that younger player to be here and grow.
Mm-hmm. And, in that sense, Laine is really young. He's what, 22, 23, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I
He's
think so. I'm gonna look now.
But yeah, I mean that's the tricky part is just you don't want to waste those assets. If you know he's going to hit free agency, then yeah, okay. If he maybe let's just say in a hypothetical he does see the light that we're talking about at the end of the tunnel and all this young talent that's going to be here, that's going to grow, that's going to get better. Maybe he does do a sign deal because we do have a lot of cap space. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I'd be very hesitant to waste those picks, the pick and if it is like a Zaka Severson, for just a 1-year deal, And obviously, if you're the Jets, you hang on to them,
lose it.
Oh yeah,
yeah, because it's super cool. It would be super cool to get Laine, and you'd be so jacked about it. But then the reality hits you real hard when it's like, oh God, now we got to go through the who knows when the season starts and when the season ends. But that typical stretch after the trade deadline, if he didn't get traded, then there's that stretch before July 1st, and you're like, oh, is he going to sign? What's going to happen? And then July 1st, that dreaded day. It's either a day of celebration or a day of dread.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, look at what we went through with Taylor Hall as well. I mean, can you imagine if we traded a first round pick, Severson, Zaka, and then all of a sudden, Laine is like, not gonna resign, and then, oh man, that would just be miserable. I don't know. I could just see that not being. I don't know.
Yeah, the fan base would lose it if that were the case.
Yeah,
and especially if. Either of those two players we traded away or both just had killer seasons. We traded.
It's a very strong possibility too.
Yeah.
Because you get somebody I keep saying this about especially Pavel Zacha. The guy's he has scoring touch. He, for whatever reason, it's not translating 100% in the NHL, but you see flashes of it. And the last thing you want to see is giving up on a dude, and you're like, what? Unless you know it's a solid return back, giving up on a dude and then just watching him prosper somewhere else, and just saying why? Yeah. And because then there's the whole, well, why did we give up on him? Why did we trade him? And it's like, you dopes are the same ones that were beating your chest, saying get him out of town because he can't score more than 15 goals a season. It's like that's the hardest part about being a fan of any professional sports team. It's like,
yeah.
The pundits that get on their soapbox and they start talking about if I was a GM and this, that, and the other thing, it's like, well, there's a good solid reason why you're not a GM. So
yeah, and these and therein lies the other thing too. People forget that these players are people, and sometimes a change of scenery for any of us just does you a world of good. Sometimes, if you're working at a job that you don't like and you go find a better one that you're just happier at, you're going to produce more. It's the same thing with these athletes. And we, get blinded by the fact that we love this team more than anything. We also don't work for the team. So that kind of helps us love this team more than anything. And we think everyone should be here and want to be here. But that's not always the case. New Jersey's not always everyone's kind of cup of tea.
Yeah.
So...
and if it's not, you can get the hell out of here.
There's also a lot of teams in play too. Pittsburgh, like you were talking about. I don't think they're done. Looks like Calgary might be headed for a little shakeup as well. With their early round exit. There's going to be some teams. Montreal. What are they going to do? There's going to be some teams that are also making some moves like that. And, Laine would be a pretty enticing piece to some of them.
Yeah. God, imagine if Laine ended up on Pittsburgh somehow. Which you could see it happening. I mean, that's the other thing, too, is the Rangers are starting to clear out cap space. I think they have $20 million in cap space or something like that. There's a lot of there's a lot of teams that are just putting things into place right now that are ready for that next step forward. The Rangers, like, it sucks to watch because you're like, oh, like we're so close to being where they are at. They have like the top flight goalie. They have now the number 1 overall pick coming in, which we just had. We just had that, but they also throw in the Panarin. It's like if I feel like if we could land Laine and lock him up for a while, it's like that's our answer to Panarin. You know, I know some people would vehemently disagree with me on that one, but having that top flight scorer, somebody that can like relieve some of the pressure of Jack or Nico or I don't know, man. I just and then circling back all the way back to the thought of losing Palmieri, like I love Kyle Palmieri, and not just because he's a Jersey guy. He is a heart and soul dude. That's why I liked Coleman. Palmieri plays with his heart on his sleeve out there. He puts everything into games. He sticks up for his teammates. You know, I think if you're not making Nico the captain and you extend Palmieri for like a 3-year contract, I feel like he deservedly should get the captaincy. So if it's not Nico, then 100% should be Kyle Palmieri. But I mean, I just like, you know, I wish we could fast forward a little bit just to kind of see like where the hell this sits and like where everything is. Like that anticipation is great, but it's also like seeing other teams around us making moves just drives me crazy. I'm like, what the hell's going on right now?
Yeah, but we're also we're in a position to where, you know, we have those 3 draft picks. We've talked about that, you know, until we're blue in the face, and we have cap space. So we're actually in that position to where we don't need to be making moves right now if they're not the right moves. You know, we're waiting for the other teams to come to us at this point. You know, because if we start shopping some of the stuff that we have, you know, we may be seen as desperate, and that's the last thing you want to do when you're making the deal. Is you don't want to seem like you're the desperate side. So we're really in the driver's seat here to the point where like we have all these assets, and you know, so what's the worst thing that happens? We don't make a trade and we draft 3 really good players in the first round. Is that really also bad? Not really. You know, if we don't make any moves, we have 3 first-round draft picks. And as long as it's still the same, you know, team that drafted the last 4 years, I think we'll do really well. And if we do trade 1 or 2 of them, and we have a lot of cap space, and free agency starts October 9th. So let's say we don't do a lot of dealing on draft day.
Oh, that's crazy.
You know, what?
Just thinking like I've totally like lose yourself in the moment of like when things are going to be happening again, and forgetting that free agency is the 9th, the draft the 7th. Like things are actually going to happen right around the corner. It's like, geez, it's close. Things could be drastically different in like 2 weeks. Our roster could be vastly different in a very positive way.
We should do a draft podcast or something like that. We should talk to Sam
wherever he is.
Wherever Sam is right now.
Wherever Sam is.
Sam. We're all gonna sign off in like a minute and just let that happen. But dude,
you know, like who knows if we're gonna tender any RFA offers? Like all that stuff is gonna start coming out.
The dreaded offer sheets, which never happened.
Yeah, you know, it's like, but hey, we have space. Like we can do it. Like, you know, there's a lot of good RFAs that are out there. So there's going to be a lot of movement, I think, coming up soon. Then again, I could be wrong. We could do nothing. We could be, you know, doing a podcast in 3 weeks, 4 weeks from now. We'll be like, why didn't we do anything? You know, we drafted 3.
Yeah,
you know,
or we could be like, hey, these are the 3 draft. Yeah, here's the 3 draft picks we got, and let's talk about that for like 20 minutes, and then there's nothing else to talk about because the team didn't do anything. But you know,
October 15th, I sent you guys that article. October 15th, you know, teams are allowed to open up their training facilities again. So hopefully, we'll be getting some practices, getting some of these prospects on the ice. Maybe check them out, see what's going on. You know, I don't know where they are, you know, where they're located or whatever. How the teams are going to work that, if they have to fly them in, quarantine if they're out of country. There'll be some logistics, but at least, the actual team that's there, still in New Jersey, October 15th, they can go down to the old Rock, start practicing again.
Yeah, which would be good to see, like players on the ice, again, because it's been 201 days since the Devils have been on the ice, and by that point in October, we'll be well into the close to 220s. Just to see some kind of action from our team on the ice, even if it's just a skate, but those camps are also, they're opening up their facilities voluntarily. So it's a matter of you hope that the league has an idea when they're going to start, because let's say a player comes into Jersey, we don't know if they're going to, like, if you come into Jersey from, pretty much most of the rest of the world, you have to quarantine for 2 weeks, is what, the governor's looking for. So if these players come in and they do start working out, is this, they're going to come in and are they going to have to stay here until, who knows when, June, July. So we're going to have to kind of take a look at that too. Like, what's going to be the regulations on these players? Like, can they come here and then leave and then come back? Is there going to be too much quarantining? What's it going to, all the logistical stuff is got to come out. And, first off, the league's got to figure out when they're going to start, and go from there too.
Yeah. All the small things that need to happen. It's just, I don't know. Leading into the new season, like whenever it happens and whenever they do it, I'm sure there's going to be, a point in time where we're finally going to be able to get a vaccine. We're finally going to be able to go back and see sports, and it might even happen during the season. And if that does happen, like that's awesome. That's incredible, and that's what all of us would want. And if it doesn't, if they find a way to make it work, they make it work. And like you said, Short Sky, MLS has made it work. There's European soccer leagues that have made it work. The NFL is working pretty well right now. So I'm sure that the NHL season will figure out a way to happen. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I'm excited to get this one over with. I'm excited to get the draft and free agency underway. But then there's also going to be that pause between, October, 8th you said, or 9th, when the free agency opens. 15th. There's going to be like that long pause between that point and when the season actually opens up. So there's going to be like that, whatever. And I guess that's like the off season, like we would go through it during the summer. So we'll have like other sports, like thank God football will be there to kind of fill in some of that void. But I don't know, man. I'm like chomping at the bit. I can't wait to see what happens in a week and a half. It's exciting.
You know what I was just thinking too? If they are going to do this, let's just say, hypothetically, they're going to follow the baseball model and kind of realign, everybody. Man, this is going to be like Lou Lamoriello's dream, because it's going to be all like division rivalry play. Remember when they did the schedule realign, and Lou was just like, boom, thumbs down. He's like, less games against the Rangers, less games against the Flyers. He wanted more of that. Yeah. Dude, the rivals are gonna be renewed coming up, because they're not gonna be playing. They're gonna have these extra games. They're not gonna be traveling around. Like, if oh my God, the Canadian teams. Whew, if it's just like a Canadian book. Oh man, they are gonna be.
So you would think that the Metro Division would be shrunk down to Devils, Islanders, Flyers, Rangers, probably Capitals, because they're within distance. Maybe absorb Boston and Buffalo, and have a northeast. That would be like a northeast realignment, right? Yeah.
Maybe Pittsburgh too. I don't know, or maybe Pittsburgh gets put out into like.
I think Pittsburgh is on the other side into the Central, like with. Yeah. And then, do you start mixing East-West, or do you still keep traditionally East-West? Do you know what I'm saying?
You're just going to have
Nashville, Pittsburgh,
do it how
it
be works.
In the same.
Yeah, I mean that's just how it's going to have to be. Like in baseball, I mean, Hell's bells. How many games did the Mets and Yankees have to play against each other this year and everything? You know, like that's just what it was. You know, like they had to play the Eastern teams. You know,
but my question is, do they still keep the East West? The East and the West.
Nah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so a team like Nashville, that's close enough to the East Coast. Like, does Nashville still play in the Western Conference, or are they just lumped into a new? Do you have like a true division of like West and East? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, you have teams like.
I'm trying to come up with some potential. Just kind of off the top of my head.
Because if you have Canada, the sixth in Canada.
The same divisions and whatever your record is like there, even though you aren't playing, the same teams, like Boston wouldn't be playing Montreal and Toronto, and Ottawa. That'd be 3 teams that they wouldn't be playing, but I don't know. I think they would just keep the same division or you do divisions by whatever bubble, like whatever bubble you're in, or not bubble. I shouldn't say that. That's the wrong terminology, but whatever, what do they call it? Division realignments, whatever realignment you're in. That's your division for this season. Uh-oh, I hear the music.
The music.
Damn.
In.
There we go.
Give me 2 claps.
Well, I'd say let's ask for final thoughts, but I feel like that's what it's been for the last 30 minutes. So, you know what? Let's just close this one out. Until next time, everybody, let's go Devils.
I think we just sit here and we don't know what to do.
Oh, man.
Just stare at the screen like we're frozen.
Longest
There it is.
And something happened to Scotty's microphone.